Hello, everybody, and welcome to Resolve the Unsolved Forum by Panacea eBiz Consulting Group. In fact, last couple of months, we took up an initiative at Panacea in terms of inviting people who have been at different sectors in different areas of consulting and training across the industry within the country to come across on this platform, discuss on certain topics which are core focus areas for them when they're consulting or training in an organization, with the perspective and the aim, and we kept the focus around the MSME segment by and large. Instead of going towards the larger corporates, we were trying to focus on those areas and trying to encourage them to come across, get skilling, get professional consulting, which can help them transform and move forward. In the process, we have been able to help few of them. As an initiative of that, these web sessions have been going on consistently with even support of consultants like Ashutosh who have been there, been aligning with us. Today, we have, I say, a very, very interesting topic. A lot of us come from a background over here of sales and enabling organization in enriching and enhancing their sales functions and activities. And there has been a constant debate in the last couple of years, I would say, is technology disrupting or has it disrupted the way we have been selling? So we are not talking so much of the process, but in generic, we will focus our discussion around disruptive selling in tech-enabled environment. As buyers become more sophisticated and more demanding nowadays, as we see, and the sales process now requires the use of technologies and automations like never before. And with the power of internet, the buyers engage with prospective vendors, prospective sellers, even before the buying process begins. Okay, so that has put up a strong challenge for every sales team cutting across product lines, service sectors across, and we have been facing that. And we have been also enabling organizations to overcome that. To discuss on that with me, I have Ashutosh Sharma with me today. Ashutosh, welcome to the forum and thanks for your time. Ashutosh is the founder and chief resultant at Lakshya Result. Akshay, in fact, has spent, if I'm right, Akshay, more than 2 decades constructively engaged into facilitating sales processes, consulting, enabling organizations across the sectors, mentoring and coaching them. And you come with a rich experience and live examples and case studies of where you have helped them turn around, be it a large organization or a medium scale organization. It's good to have you over here. At the same time, I welcome all friends who have joined us today. I may be knowing some of them personally. Some of them I will be meeting today for the first time. All of you are welcome. And as we go across, you are most welcome to participate and join in so that we can make it more interactive. Mr. Ravindra Goel was supposed to join in, but since he has a certain engagement coming up, he had to just drop out. So we won't be having him in the session today. To start off with, Ashutosh, let me come straight to you.
Sure.
When we say disruption, what kind of a disruption is there in selling? It's a very open-ended question I'm putting across.
Sure.
So according to your experience and whatever you have been experiencing, what is the kind of disruption are we experiencing because of technology? Please.
Sure. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. And let me also welcome all the other persons, all of you. If I missed anybody, so sorry, but yes, every one of you is welcome here. Though it's an open-ended question you asked me, but I'll try to keep it precise. So it's for everyone's benefit. And as Mr. Ghosh has already said, let's all interact rather than be a one-way communication. When we say disruptive selling due to this present environment, the pandemic which we are going through, in fact, just to give you a little background, I have studied sales and marketing professionally. And with the institute where Mr. Ghosh himself, some of you people of the faculty teaching us selling skills and selling techniques. Well, Any of those techniques which we learned over the years have been our foundation. Suddenly have been thrown out.
Ashutosh, your voice is breaking. It's not coming out very clearly.
Is that
yeah,
the case for everyone?
now it's clear.
It's clear now. So, those fundamental techniques which we learned during that course which we did at NIS have been thrown out the window in this pandemic. For example, and as Mr. Ghosh has just asked me a very important question, that disruptive selling. Earlier, selling was also related to the charm of a salesman. How well could he present himself, talk, modify the sales pitch, and
Right.
to the customer. Now that no longer is so much valid because there is a lot of pre-work which has to go through now, and almost 60% of the sale happens even before we started to sell. And Mr. Ghosh in his opening remark also said, customer engages with the his buyer or prospective buyer even before the sales bid is out in the market. Because nowadays, customer is not looking at the TV commercial and going for the product. He rather looks at the review about the product by the consumer, and that makes all the difference. Earlier, Mr. Amitabh Bachchan saying that buy this would have helped the company to sell most of their stock. But today, the common man saying, I used the product and I found it valuable, help the company to sell, not so much Mr. Bachchan. That change has come. But you see, use of technology. So now in this environment when there are a lot of restrictions around us, one such example is instead of holding this conference in some good five-star hotel with over a cup of tea, we are meeting each other virtually. That's one good such example here is.
Very true. As you are picking it up, Turan, if I can pull you in, do I have the luxury to pull you in?
Is it better now? Also, is it better now?
Let me do one thing. Let me bring in Turan also, since I can't stop the temptation. He is over there and has been actively involved into this. I would like to take your viewpoints also when we say disruption in sales because of technology. What is your take to that?
See, I would say that today we can see that there are so many channels, if I may say, of sales. The buyer and a seller can meet in so many different ways. Earlier, typically, if you want to buy something, you will have to go out there in the market. Today, the seller is reaching your home.
Yes.
He's reaching you through the computer. He's reaching you through the mobile phone. He's reaching you through the television. And everything has become very interactive. Today, it has become easier to interact with between the buyer and seller. And the focus has become more of that individual customer rather than just the distribution. So the product physically may be available at different places, but today the buyer and seller can meet sitting at in their offices or in their residences. They're able to interact.
Very true.
And the sales can take place.
Because very good point made by Mr. Turan Kumar. I'm just extending the same. Nowadays, for buying a car, I don't even have to step out of my house. Because once I put the requirement on the website, the car dealers contact me, their salesperson set up a virtual call with me, and before that,
Ashutosh, your voice is not very clear, so we can't able to hear it.
Okay, thanks for the feedback, madam. Okay, so nowadays he also sends his e-brochure on my WhatsApp, and which I can go through. He also sends some videos along.
Right.
Go through all this even before salesman starts to make his pitch, and that too he does it over the virtual video. And once I'm okay with all of that, and we are moving to the next level, only then he brings a vehicle for a demo to my house. So that is how the selling has changed. Compared to 15 years back, I would have had to drive to Mathura Road from GK Road to from, let's say, Faridabad, and go to a showroom and at least go to 3-4 showrooms, take a demo of a car. So that also the way the selling has changed.
See, if you take the instances which you pointed out and which Turan also pointed out, and we are experiencing it. There's a team, I'm just taking an example. There's a team for a company which I'm setting up out of Hyderabad nationally. We are completely changing the entire proposition of how to reach customers. We have started using social media strongly. It is giving phenomenal results. helping preserve a lot of resources, time, and energy also. And customers, no doubt, are able to comfortably connect. I'm not saying Generation X or anything as such, but this disruption has been noticed. Customers are able to reach out and get more information of the product, are well informed about product and services, even before you and me as a sales professional reach out to them. Not only at a click of a button, they're able to reach out. So there is not only a challenge, technology is bringing in a lot of a transition into the process, which is there. Mr. Vijay Kumar, would you like to add any points at this stage?
Sir, I am not a great salesperson. I'm a trainer, but not a great salesperson.
You can always add a lot of value to this entire forum.
Yes. So I was also not knowing the power of the social media. And somebody whom I met in the online class, he said, even if you make an ad in the Facebook, people will not click that unless they know you personally from the social media. That means you should have given enough free content and showcase yourself as somebody who can contribute, who is knowledgeable. So I started doing it very, very seriously last 3 months back.
Okay.
Almost 5 times a week, I put very good content in the LinkedIn and copy that into Facebook. And also made about 30-40 videos in YouTube. So now I'm getting good traction. And I conducted a course called 7 Secrets of Success. And using LinkedIn itself, I collected 88 names. And 44 people actually turned up for a 7-day course every day, 1.5 hours. Without spending a single paisa. If I spent on Facebook ads, maybe another double would have come because they know now they know me.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. Social media has to be made use of. You have to prove that you are good. You got something to contribute.
No, this is a very important perspective, Ashutosh, I feel. Right, great. Which Mr. Kumar brought in about knowing about an association and using the power of social media to connect. Right, Mr. Kumar? That is what you have been.
Yes, yes.
So this is very nicely put across. And I won't say it's an actual disruption, but the use of a technology which bridges the gap and ability to reach out. In fact, this has been happening across cross sections of products which are there, which we have seen in the last 2 years. And there have been a transition which is happening consistently at all the stages. You have various platforms available. Now, since we have slightly moved on to social media, we will try to explore a bit more. I would say a social selling. Is social selling become very critical? Combining the social media, bringing in points from Mr. Kumar, what he shared, and Ashutosh, the examples which you have been sharing and Turan shared. Social selling, is it taking a forefront or a front stage right now? Ashutosh, please.
Absolutely, yes. And maybe let me quote an example to highlight. Country Delight. I'm sure we all know this name today as a household name for the supplying milk every day at our doorstep. Now, Country Delight has been primarily depending on social media selling. And through those Facebook groups they created, through those Facebook events they have created, through that word of mouth. Now, if you see, they're not using celebrity to put the advertisement there.
Yeah.
They're using their own customer to talk about how Country Delight milk helps me keep one bottle full of ghee, or how it helps me make a sweet lassi for me. Is giving more confidence to other user than actually, let's say, some Alia Bhatt coming and talking about it. So that's how the social selling is making an impact. And then social media has become a most prominent medium for advertising. And the way Kumar Vijay just gave the example of himself, which is true for all of us. So this is how the social media is taking shape.
So when we focus on socially reaching out, in the last 10 minutes, what we discussed, and we come to the terminology of disruption. So if I have to coin it together, is there a disruption in the initial stages, the way we used to approach sales? That means prospecting, going out, meeting, okay? Is it that when we're talking about social media, that means it's a parallel activity where we are integrating different departments within the company who are simultaneously enabling the sales process to become more effective?
Absolutely.
Okay. So that means my arsenals and my preparation, I won't say more holistic, has to undergo this transition, okay, and actually bring across an opportunity where not only I am promoting, but I'm able to socially engage. And coming back to what Mr. Kumar shared, the person or the people able to recognize and relate with my product, my activity, my services as I take it on, builds an opportunity to take it up. Am I right, Ashutosh?
Absolutely. And in fact, during this pandemic, we noticed many companies, many big corporates have also been putting up these vaccination camps they were running in their organization. Now, the purpose of doing that was what? Not so much of that they wanted to show to PM of India that we are doing this, but also show it to the next lot of employees they want to hire, younger talent. But this is the company which we are, and as a company, these are the initiatives we are taking towards taking care of our people. So that is also kind of a selling. And that's where, right from the MD level to down below, people are getting engaged into those activities and putting it up for people for their consumption on the social media.
Right.
It's also another example of it.
Turan, you want to add anything? Mr. Prasenjit, Raha, Prasenjit?
Can I add?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, please, Anand, please.
Anand, please, you can go ahead.
Okay, so I just wanted to share my observations on disruption which is happening and kind of things which are happening these days, especially post-COVID. One thing is marketing has become easier.
Yep.
One, and then the second thing is as Mr. Vijay Kumar was talking about, people who give value only they will sustain.
Okay.
That's there. But there is a new breed of people who are like COVID coaches. That's what I call them.
Okay.
What I mean by that is they read a book or they attend a YouTube, see one YouTube channel or video,
Right.
and they think that they are competent enough to become a coach or a trainer. And just because they have a Geo-free account and Zoom, they start talking about people. I met a person, she raised a kid and she says, because I raised a kid, I can be a parenting coach. I mean, what a joke is that? Right. Anyway, so what's happening is,
Right.
one is disruption is happening both ways. Like there's a positive disruption which is happening, and the right people. Now, what I feel is that COVID has leveled everybody down. Whether somebody is 20 years experience or when somebody is starting, so everybody started zero.
Right.
And those who have technology, they are actually making fast strides. Those who are not embracing, they'll go back. I mean, suffering.
No,
So-
what you pointed out, Anand, is right. As people say, technology is a great leveler, and
Yeah.
pandemic has been there to level it out. No doubt
So
about it.
I just want to
Please.
see if somebody can throw some light on how do we handle this negative disruption also which is going on around, right? So
Okay.
it's
Maybe,
actually-
Anand, what we will do is we will use a different session, and this is a very interesting topic.
Perfect. Sounds good. Yeah.
Or we will come to it slightly later so that we stay on the point. Thanks. It was quite interesting for what you shared. Turan, I will come to you. I think Prasenjit wanted to share something.
Yeah, Sandeep, thanks. Good afternoon. Yeah, Ashutosh. What I wanted to know is, as we have all seen, there's the advent of social media. Gradually, everyone is embracing of social media big way. Now, as social media is entering, do you feel, I mean, it's gradually moving into a buyer's market and with buyers in groups? Do you think the corporates needs to act more responsibly? Because earlier what was happening, that campaigns and everything were in split up in open. I mean, now since it's the campaigns are more specific, tailor-made for groups. So how do you foresee, I mean, what will be the movement in the ad space and how things or norms are bound to come up in this space? What do you feel? Thank you.
That's a wonderful question. Very, very brilliant question, I must say. That is that, yes, of course, with the course of time, what will happen, corporates will start to understand what to do and what not to do, and they will start forming norms and their strategies. Till that time, it doesn't happen, we all be selling in the same boat and we all be suffering. But definitely is going to take place, but it will take a little while. Second, now I'm sure you are also aware, a lot of companies are not only, they don't only hire the, let's say, the media managers, they started to hire social media expert in the company. Either they take an outsource service or they hire a full-time person, depending on the company. But they are also hiring people who understand social media. Therefore, you are not just running around throwing away money on each and every channel, but you select where to put that money. Something very similar to which we have all known from on ages called media buying or media selling. like
Right.
advertising, this TV advertising, so on and so forth. The same thing is also starting to come into social media now. The people now know if it is a very youth-oriented product, better to go on a Instagram than even on Twitter. But if
Right.
it's a product which is, let's say, insurance kind of a product, let me reach out to YouTube more than even Facebook. Because for an insurance product, a customer is looking for financial help, financial goals, financial tools, searching for videos on the YouTube is a right customer for me. So even understanding and selecting the media according to my requirement, my product profile is becoming a specialized role now. And most corporates are understanding and therefore hiring that kind of people.
Right.
That's which I see happening. And third, of course, we should not be part of that rat race where everybody is doing, therefore I must also do. So, I'm sure you all must not be seeing any ads from Mercedes still on the Facebooks. I haven't come across any. Reviews of Mercedes or any of those prestigious products. They still advertise in the magazine like Forbes or Times.
Very much.
It is about knowing what I want to achieve and how should I do that.
Great.
I hope I have addressed your question.
Okay. So good, because that is where the transition is happening, Ashutosh, right? Let me bring in Turan over here. Turan, you were planning to share something. Please.
No, not really. Okay. The only thing, one is I definitely agree with Anant. What he said that, there is the positive as well as the negative side
Yeah.
of the technology disruption. So suddenly you will see a whole lot of, a whole lot of noise on the channels, but it may not be very, very relevant, but it is still there. And for the recipients or for the buyers or for the market, it becomes difficult to differentiate between what is actually noise and what is actually relevant. The other thing I would say also is that I think though there is a lot of disruption which has already happened, but still largely we are in a very, very experimentative state. So how the market would change in the future, in the near future or in the long term, it's become difficult to predict. It's become complex to predict because now the change is happening very fast.
True. You brought in very relevant points, Turan. In fact, yes.
And in my opinion, you can actually segment the market, or I would rather say segment the sellers also into different. So you will see a lot of disruption happening in the retail space. Okay. But if you look at large corporates or manufacturers, they still may be using the social media or the technology as more as an advertising space. Okay. So it clearly over a period of time, like Ashutosh said, some strategy would have to evolve, some norms might evolve, and you don't know, by the time they evolve, the market might still change further. But then what kind of products people would be comfortable buying, let's say online, and what kind of products they would still want to go out there on the shop, actually touch, feel and experience, and then decide to buy.
Right. That's a very valid point, Turan, you brought in, because we face these queries consistently with small and large corporates in the last 2 years. I'm sure you must have experienced that too also. And what Anand brought in is very, very valuable, no doubt, because you can create a lot of sound and noise using technology. And that's a problem. So it becomes very difficult for a customer to sometimes weed out and understand the realities. So from the customer perspective, no doubt, it's a problem. And obviously, when you're in the market, you have to, as a tangible competitor, handle them also. So we are undergoing this metamorphosis right now.
Yeah.
Now, I'll just bring in a small complexity to this entire discussion and the forum which we are having. I'm tempted to drag in most of you who are there, because I know all of you are experienced and seasoned professionals and are also consulting various companies. So I can't stop the temptation. And others are also invited to join in, because this is enriching. Now, why we stay put with this? I'm just sharing with you a real-time case study, and I will expect responses from Ashutosh, others over here. Okay. What a lot of companies in services, in FMCG, retail operation did share. we talk about the millennial, the generation X, okay, who are also coming and becoming part of the sales team or the marketing team as they are joining organizations across the sector. While this is happening, and we're talking about disruption because of technology, the way the millennials take on their job role, they seem to be quite clear and confident compared to when we all stepped in 25, 30 years back with a different perspective. Okay? So there is again a lot of transition happening because this young generation is quite competent with technology, quite comfortable with technology, working on a particular structure, working on a flat structure, even sales have become flatter. Okay? What I'm arriving at slowly is, does it mean to say that disruption is also in terms of the sales hierarchy? That means I'm a sales manager and the sales manager anchors the entire show and drives down how to do it, number of calls, number of this, number of that, conversions, etc. All this. Two, is there a transition from a manager to the person becoming more of a mentor and a coach while this disruption happens? Ashutosh, your comments, please.
Okay. Well, I mean, very well brought in, very well brought in. The way the selling styles have changed, the way the buyer psychology has changed, the way techniques have changed, even the role of a manager has gone through a change. Maybe
Okay.
he understands it or not, that's a different issue. Company understands it or not, and what they expect as a management from their managers is different. But the role has certainly gone through a change. So no longer a manager can be an administrative manager, only looking at administrative issues of and how many calls you making today. Let me show you how to make a call. Those are the things that are going out of the window. Today, he has to be a role model in terms of adopting technology, in terms of analytical skills and using the data and using that analysis for his work, even his conduct, his behavior, and he has to be like a fall behind the salesman. Boss, you go ahead, enjoy your life, do what you wish to do. If you fall back, if you have any problem, I'm right behind you.
Okay.
There is a change, there is a shift in this world has already taken place. The sad part is that's an experience which we already have while we are talking to many of these corporates and training or coaching their managers. Sad part is most managers have become managers because of their virtue of being there in that organization for 10 years, 20 years.
Right.
Not managers because of their extraordinary performance or some leadership skills or attributes.
Right.
That's the sad part. And that's where the opportunity lies for all of us as consultants and coaches. And that is the segment we need to immediately attack. And there's a lot of work to be done.
Right.
That's
Great.
the response.
So that means there is a compulsory change which has to be brought in, right, Ashutosh? That is what you are pointing in. Okay. To this, now, when we're talking about disruption, staying with what we brought in social, and we're talking about the managers or the sales manager role also changing in the entire process, which is there. I would like to invite comments also on the same from Mr. Turan Kumar, from Mr. Vijay Kumar, if you also want to add on at this stage. Turan, would you like to add something?
See, I completely agree with the Ashutosh when he talks about the change in the manager's role. In any case, when we are talking about disruption or we are talking about the markets being changing, you would hear one word very, very frequently nowadays, and that is of agility. Okay. Now, agility has to be facilitated.
Right.
It has to be supported. If the organization is very conservative or if the manager is very, very conservative, then agility becomes difficult. So for anybody, the agility happens only when there's a lot of flexibility. True. And a manager has to be able to support that flexibility. He has to be open to ideas. He has to be open to listening to his team. He has to be open to listening to the customers, what they are saying.
Very true. Very true.
So that support is definitely required by the manager rules changes that he has to understand, not from the point of view that, look, I am the one who will tell you how to do it, but he has to be a lot more receptive to the changing situation around him and what people would be able to do around.
The very important point Turan pointed out, agility is very, very critical. Very, very critical.
If I may just add one more point here.
Yes.
Also, the delegation upwards, which the manager has to be open to. And there is the time, because as you very rightly said in your this initial point of the question which you asked me, and you said that younger generation is the one who quickly adopts this technology. And that's true. That if I am the team leader, I am the manager, I have younger guys with me, it's an opportunity for me to quickly learn from them some of these new techniques and give my own, whatever wisdom I have, add that to the whole thing and make the entire team efficient.
That's very important.
Delegation approach and learning from juniors is also something which manager has to be open to.
Very important. See, what you shared, Ashutosh, is very important, and what Turan brought in about the agility, which brings to my mind, and if I link it with technology, today you have the Microsoft Dynamic CRM.
Yes.
Now, there was a time when I used to visit a customer, and the customer asked me something, and I say, okay, I will get back to you. But with tools and technology available like Microsoft Dynamic CRM, my information is instant. I can get the information on the fly while I'm sitting with my customer and give him information. Okay. On this, I'm just presenting a case. I was there in a couple of meetings 2 days back, and we had a lot of technology discussions, and we were able to use Microsoft Dynamic platform very, very effectively, and minutes everything was there. And how it was there? Because of a back-end able agile manager who is no more focusing on the calls, but is enabling the entire team with information. Because today, what happens is the contact time is also small. Sometimes the sales cycle is also smaller because the customer is informed and the person in the field is informed. So there is a challenge also in the mindset. They have to transit when there's a team functioning, all relevant information and empowering them to take decisions over there. Okay. So tools, social media is enabling to reach out. It is helping us to engage, as we have been discussing. Social platforms or technology platforms are able to help and facilitate us as salespeople to be informed on the spot and carry all the informations which are there. Hence, coming back to the manager's role, that means a manager, we agree that is going to be more of an enabler than the person who is breathing down the neck. Okay, how do you convert your conversions? Okay, so he has to enable conversions, then to look for it. What an interesting time at this. Now, coming back to Ashutosh, now we touched upon a couple of very, very interesting parameters in the last 40 odd minutes we have been discussing. So we started off with disruption, how it is disrupting. We got a lot of value-added points from participants and other valued members and trainers and coaches over here. We built onto social as a neat social way of reaching out to people. And to that, we also added up there's a transformation needed, agility needed in the manager who is operating the entire thing. Now, what would be, I would say takeaway, what would be the key disruption which a company should look out for and bring in as an agile operator in the market, Ashutosh, to get a very effective sales team on the field? I've requested for too much of information, but you feel free to please.
I'll try to keep it again very precise. Maybe let's go step by step, only few points there. Number one is the very, very well defined KRAs. Because the salesman will do, he will get rewarded for. So rest he will not do. Rest he does not.
Right.
So it has to be built into KRA. So the well defined KRAs where his learning, and not only learning but learning implementation and bringing results from there becomes one of his KRA. So adopting technology, and that too also especially in MSME, SME section, where in this industry, most companies have been just surviving out of whatever previous knowledge bank they had. Now they have to go through this transformation. So unless they bring in this KRAs, and then one of the KRAs that's learning implementation, adopting technology, bringing effectiveness using this Microsoft CRM tools, etc., how to use them.
Right.
Those things have been put into place, and as part of their culture, as part of their practice, nothing will happen. all the CEOs will be sending their people for training programs.
Sure.
Rest of the institutes, they will all go get the study material, come back clapping with the pictures. Nowadays they are put on the social media profiles. But nothing will change in the organization at the end of the day. Unless those steps are taken. So that's
Right. At this point, do we have any queries or any thoughts which anybody wants to share?
Yeah, I just want to, the last point that Ashutosh made did not come out very, very clearly. So as I understand, I took two things from there, Ashutosh. One, you were saying that the KRA should be defined very, very clearly.
Okay.
And second, you were mentioning something about the learning process, which did not come out very clearly. So can you repeat that?
Sure. So what I'm saying, there is not only in business goals, targets, but learning implementation has to also become one of the KRA. As a salesman in this company, you are given access to all the learning tools. Have you learned and implemented back in the field? And that must be measured. And then also the use of technology or adoption of technology also should become one of the KRA. Otherwise, companies will keep on spending money on the IT softwares and CRMs, etc. Salesmen will not follow them. Salesmen will keep running away from them.
Yeah.
So for them, it's a burden. That's the point.
So see, you're right. As I see, there are certain changes which will happen automatically. The only thing is, जैसे हम कहते हैं, going online. Okay.
Yes.
Would have taken maybe a little longer time, but because of the pandemic, it happened very fast. But even if the pandemic was not there, it would have happened. Maybe it would have taken a few more years. So certain changes like adapting the technology and all, when technology comes, people will have to adapt it. Some may take more time, some may take less time. But a very, very critical part on the organization is that the organization has to be a learning organization. They have to promote learning. If they want to be agile, they have to be open to learning. They have to promote learning, and they have to. So they have to encourage their people to learn and experiment with new things.
Very true. Very true. Rightly put in over here. See, disruption could be only handled if you are learning and if you are agile, and you can move along with it. And very important is it's not only about technology. The right and measured use of technology can only bring in results. Either overuse can lead to technically a misuse of it, okay, or overburdening the customers. Having a social way to engage with the client is good, but you need appropriate content, material, and the right forum to engage with. It can't be on any social platform. There's a lot of learning, and there's a lot of research, and there's a lot of marketing initiative attached with it to take it across. So there's a lot of learning also involved over there, which you brought about appropriately. Okay, so there is no way we can go out of technology, and there is no way we can come back to so-called good old days or the normal structure. We have to find ways to enable and move on and use the technology as such. Now, having said that, at this stage, let's see if we have any queries, any questions from anybody.
Sandeep, may I add a few more words to what you and Ashutosh have said?
Why not? Why not, please?
Going by what you and Ashutosh have said, we both have agreed on what is imbibing technology, and we have seen that this Generation X, they are quite adept with the new technologies, what we earlier lacked. Now, having said so, and having said what Ashutosh has said, that we should have a well-defined KRAs in place, my take is that along with these people who are so much into technology, do they have the proper attributes? Do they possess the proper soft skills? Because we are the generation, we had adequate soft skills. Now people are so much into technology, they have lost the human touch. They lack the interpersonal. What I have seen, they lack the interpersonal skills. So my take is that when you have a well-structured KRA, you should have a proper weightage given to the attributes portion. So KRA should be 6 or 10, whatever may it be. But at the end of a session, when you assess a candidate, there should be proper weightage given to attributes, and the attributes should be properly weighed down by the team leader. Here, they are only you can get the future leaders from the process. Thank you. Thank you. That was my take.
No doubt. Thanks for sharing. Turan and Ashutosh, to just introduce Mr. Raha. Mr. Raha is an experienced logistic expert and is also a consultant to various organizations. And I think today you're joining from Kolkata, is it right?
Absolutely.
He's from Kolkata.
Yeah.
Okay. So please, any of you can answer.
In fact, Anand Kasipatla also has just echoed what Prasanjit said. And I agree. Maybe before the pandemic, if we had to dial into Airtel or Vodafone, we will not wait for the IVR to finish, we'll straight away go less than 9. We wanted to hear that human voice at the other side. Now, we've become more comfortable and okay with even going through the IVR steps. Let's say 60-70% of us have gone through that. So that I completely agree with it. This has happened. And people have become more, I would say, mechanical or more machine than the human. And
Absolutely.
I agree with you that we must not forget the human part of it. So when we're defining KRS, that is exactly what I said. The KRS should not only be on the business or let's say on machine learning, but also on the team dynamics, my motivation, my team members. Those also needs to be part of the KRA. So that will bring in that human inside me and that is going to be important for me to get a next level promotion. So definitely, it stays. It is not going away.
Thank you.
True.
Thank you.
These are important. These are important. We have one comment also coming on the chat from Mr. Anand. Every people now feel comfortable talking to devices than people. Interesting comment.
So I have a big observation on the same that nowadays,
Yes.
rather than talking to a friend, you love talking to Alexa.
And
but I would just like to add to that. I would say it's not that people like feel comfortable talking to devices than people. I would say they have become comfortable speaking to devices also.
Right? That will be political, right? Political correct is important also. Yeah, Anand, you were saying something. If I
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Actually, coming back to the people skills and soft skills, which was being talked about by Mr. Rahana, I also feel that same thing because there's no complaint, but just an observation. People are very good in turning out data, cut, copy, paste analysis. I mean, they're able to churn out a very good data, but inside there is nothing there, unfortunately, because they don't know what is called a library, never do any homework, and they just copy paste the thing, and on the face of it, it looks like wow, what document. They just don't know what they have generated actually. So this is another kind of thing which is happening. Yeah.
No, it does happen.
Actually,
You're right, Anand. It happens, and it is happening a lot. Yeah. There is one more query which has come in. It's a very, very interesting one, and I think we should answer this. How can we involve unorganized sector in technology? Majority of Indians, especially women in rural area, aren't tech savvy. Yes, Ayush, you would like to answer this, please?
I have a different point of view here actually, and I slightly disagree also. Recently, it was about a month and a half back, and we were interacting with the group, and there is a company called Khadi G, and there's a girl only 28 years of her age who wants to learn. There's a 30 people. She's representing India in that. She has this organization. Well, she used to work with all these Khadisans, all the workers, so we call them in Hindi, who are spread across this MP Chhattisgarh. And they are absolutely rural people, not even educated. That's not literate. Literacy is there, but not so educated. What happens there? Even those women are using technology, if I may say, when they're interacting using Messenger. I was shocked to see. When interacting on WhatsApp, they don't know how to write. What would they write? Is it write to write? There is a voice message option there, no? What to write? But they were using WhatsApp for communicating among their group and families and friends, everyone, using that voice message facility. So, if I were to say use of technology, they are using it in their own way. When they understand, talk to a mobile and say, Chadai Kadai on YouTube.
Ashutosh, I think your voice is cracking.
Is it okay? Is it better? So,
Yeah, it's better now.
They're also using, speaking about a YouTube, about a recipe, about a Silai Kadai or Bunai, and they get a video of that in their own language. So they are using technology in whichever limited way they can. I therefore disagree that they are not using that. Now, how can we leverage when we are providing a service or a product to them how can we leverage the technology and reach out to them is a challenge with us, not with them. Many of them
Right.
are even getting educated using mobiles these days.
Right. Mr. Kumar, Vijay Kumar, I believe you wanted to speak something.
Sure.
I agree. And I agree with Ashutosh. I remember last year I told him that I'm very, very uncomfortable talking to the camera. So he suggested put a photograph of your family just behind the flap of the flap of the laptop. And I visualize that my family is sitting just next to me and I'm talking to them. Now I know such hesitations because initially it will be there. And second one I want to tell was that like WhatsApp marketing, we tried getting a list of from a database, which is quite easy to get nowadays. With 1,000 rupees, you get 5,000 or 50,000 telephone numbers, WhatsApp numbers. We sent across, hardly anyone joined. So what exactly happens in WhatsApp is that you can't use it for getting fresh customers, but to keep in touch with the existing customers and to sell them something bigger ticket. It works. And there also you keep on sending them free content for 3-4 times, and one time you try pitching a sale, and that works beautifully. So you can't actually misuse the technology. Then there'll be considered as a spammer, and then nobody will talk to you because you're only intended to sell things, not to add value.
True.
Thank you.
Oh, very true. Very true. Thanks for adding those important points, Mr. Kumar. Great. Like because so we all agree, I think, that there is a transition which is happening quite fast. And technology, no doubt, is creating a lot of disruptions at this stage. And what we can take away from our discussions today was quite enriching. At least is very, very clear on 2 or 3 aspects. That one, we can't deny technology. We have to give it space and we have to acknowledge that it's here to stay and grow. Going back to what Ashutosh and Puran you shared, agility is critical. Transformation, changing fast is critical. Changing of managerial way of handling things is important. What Prasenjit you added about attitude, KRAs and other things are very, very critical to be very, very effective, no doubt. And at the same time, very important points which Anand you also brought in about misuse of technology or a different kind of enabling where a person suddenly cut, copy, paste and becomes a highly enabled individual. That's a very important topic. We will take it up as a separate initiative on one of the seminars, which is there. If there are no other queries, we would like to, because we have already come to 4 or 3, end this discussion. Are there any queries or any questions from anybody or any suggestions? Great. Ashutosh, anything specifically which you want to share at the end?
We all have to abreast with this new technology and keep ourselves open for such things. And as I just, Commander just shared his experience. He was a very, very hesitant person. He was an excellent trainer when it came to online training. But
right.
I just complimented in the beginning itself the way the things have changed for him. So all of us, there is no age for learning, and we need to believe in that, and we need to keep ourselves open to learn new things, new ways, find our way. If there's a tough time going around, how do we find our way out of this? That's what is definitely important and very required for all of us. Also, in a very important point of agility, which also is all about this. So this is extremely important. We keep our eyes open, mind open, and keep learning new things just to keep ourselves ahead of the curve. I think that is all what I see here.
Great. Thanks for sharing it. In fact, it was an exciting topic for me to get engaged with. And I think we'll utilize this forum shortly with the participation which we had today. And maybe I'm tempted to just speak out. We can create a global forum very shortly where we can have everybody as an expert coming in and we can spend a slightly longish hour to discuss on similar topics like this. Great. Thanks for everybody participating and joining in today. Thank you very much. And we'll catch up with you again coming Saturday.
This is for all of you.
Thank you, Sandeep.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandeep.
Okay.
Thank you,
Bye-bye. Thanks, Ashutosh, for joining in. Thanks, everybody, joining in. Okay. Thanks for your time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for a wonderful.
Have a nice weekend. Have a nice weekend. Thank you so much. Bye.